Is it really true that teachers are overworked? I mean, you hear it all the time, but is it just a stereotype?
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into this YouTube roundtable discussion
Yeah.
featuring actual teachers
Right.
and Singapore's Minister of Education, Chan Chun Sing.
So Singapore's education system, I think, offers a really fascinating case study for this question.
Yeah.
Every country has its own kind of unique approach to education.
Right.
And their experiences, I think, can give us some valuable insights into sort of, what works, what doesn't work, what are some of the challenges that teachers face.
Right.
And so I think in this roundtable in particular, we're going to be exploring things like teacher motivations, the day-to-day realities of the job,
Right.
and even how technology plays a role.
Yeah, it's a loaded question. Why choose to become a teacher at all?
Yeah.
And in the roundtable, the teachers had surprisingly diverse reasons.
Yeah. So some participants shared that, teaching had been a lifelong calling for them. As a passion they'd known from a young age.
One teacher even said that whenever she was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
The only answer that ever came to mind was teaching.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see that level of dedication so young.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But others, took a more winding path to the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like one former finance professional.
Oh, wow.
Who we heard from.
His story was particularly interesting. He was successful in his field, but found himself searching for something a little bit more fulfilling.
Right.
And it was actually his wife, a teacher herself, who inspired him to consider a career change.
It's a great example of how I think personal values and the search for meaning can lead people to teaching.
Yeah.
He realized that corporate success wasn't providing the kind of impact that he craved.
He actually shared this heartwarming anecdote about a thank you letter his wife received from a student, and it really resonated with him. And he knew then that he wanted to make that kind of difference in people's lives.
It's a powerful reminder, I think, that for many teachers, the rewards go far beyond a paycheck.
Right.
It's the connections they forge with students and the impact they have on their lives that are often the key motivators.
I thought it was interesting, too. There was this other teacher who had a funny story about his family's reaction to his career choice.
Oh, yeah.
They're all educators.
Really?
And when he told them he was interviewing for a teaching position, their immediate response was, no.
It's almost a universal experience, isn't it?
It is.
Like teachers kind of, they try to warn their loved ones about the challenges of the job.
Right. They know what they're in for.
Yeah, exactly.
The irony is that reaction actually helped him during his interview.
Oh.
He told the principals about his family's response, and they all had a good laugh about it.
I love that.
And it helped break the ice.
Yeah.
And make the interview go much smoother.
It's a good reminder that humor and a bit of self-awareness can go a long way, even in a professional setting.
Absolutely.
But on a more serious note, I think the roundtable really brought to light that teaching goes far beyond just delivering lessons.
You're right. The teachers talked about the importance of building relationships, not only with students, but with their parents as well.
Right. It's this constant effort to connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah.
I think it makes you think about the often invisible emotional labor involved in teaching.
Right.
Think about the teachers that you've known. They wear so many hats.
They really do.
Mentor, counselor, mediator, cheerleader, the list goes on and on.
One teacher even joked about being a part-time lifeguard and bus driver.
I love it.
Sometimes, they're checking on students who fall asleep in class, making sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
And trying to address any potential issues outside of school that might be affecting them.
Right. Those kinds of anecdotes, I think, might seem lighthearted on the surface.
Yeah.
But they really speak to, I think, a critical aspect of teaching, which is that caring for students' well-being extends far beyond academics.
Right.
Teachers are creating this supportive and nurturing environment where students feel safe and valued.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the common belief that smaller class sizes always equal better learning.
It seems intuitive, right?
Yeah, fewer students should mean more individual attention.
Exactly.
But the roundtable discussion suggests that it's not quite that simple.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes teachers even find that incredibly small classes can present unique challenges. There was a teacher who shared her experience with a class of only 6 students.
Wow.
And she actually found it more difficult to teach than a larger class.
That's surprising. What made it harder?
Well, with such a small group, it can be harder to generate those dynamic discussions
Yeah.
and to encourage students to interact with each other.
Okay.
Educational research even suggests that there's sort of a sweet spot for class size.
Yeah.
That balances individual attention with peer interaction.
So it's not just about fewer students, it's about finding the right balance.
Exactly.
I had no idea that in Singapore they actually adjust primary school class sizes
Oh, really?
based on student needs.
Wow.
Some classes might have 30 students, while others might have a ratio as low as 1 teacher to 3 students.
That's a huge difference.
It is a huge difference. But this leads to another interesting point that the Minister of Education brought up.
Okay.
Even with declining birth rates,
Yeah.
not all classes will automatically become smaller.
Right.
School size plays a role in maintaining program quality
Mm.
and offering a variety of subjects
Right.
and extracurriculars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Smaller schools may face limitations
Right.
in what they can offer, and this is where technology comes in.
Okay.
The roundtable participants discussed how technology has the potential to streamline tasks,
Okay.
giving teachers more time to focus on individual students.
It's fascinating to consider how technology could change the landscape of teaching, like you said.
Yeah.
I imagine it could be a game changer for teachers
Oh,
who
absolutely.
feel bogged down by administrative tasks.
Yeah. Think about, how much time teachers spend grading, for example.
Oh my gosh, so much.
I mean, AI could potentially handle those tasks like grammar and spelling checks,
Right.
freeing up teachers to focus on providing more in-depth feedback
Right.
on a student's ideas
Yeah.
and their critical thinking.
There was a teacher in the roundtable who described feeling overwhelmed by decision fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
When marking, especially for subjective subjects like English,
Right.
constantly evaluating sentence structure and word choice can be mentally exhausting,
Absolutely.
especially when you have, 30, 40 students' papers to grade.
Yeah, technology can really, I think, streamline those processes
Right.
and give teachers more mental space to focus on what truly matters,
Right.
which is nurturing a student's understanding and growth.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's not just about making things easier. It's about empowering teachers to do their best work.
Exactly.
But the discussion also raised an interesting tension, I thought, between valuing academic success
Yeah.
and recognizing the importance of other skills.
It's a challenge, I think, for education systems worldwide.
Right.
Singapore is actively promoting what they call 21st century competencies,
Okay.
which emphasize skills like critical thinking, collaboration, communication,
Right.
and adaptability.
The minister acknowledged how difficult it is to shift the public's mindset away from prioritizing academics
Right.
above all else, and yet everyone seems to agree that skills like leadership and communication are essential for success in today's world.
It's so deeply ingrained in many cultures, right?
Yeah.
To place a high value on grades and test scores.
Yeah.
But there's a growing understanding, I think, that
Yeah.
those metrics don't tell the whole story.
One teacher shared an anecdote about a student who struggled academically, but excelled in a uniformed group,
Oh, wow.
demonstrating leadership and teamwork.
Yeah.
It was a real eye-opener, I think, for the teacher.
It highlights how I think talents and abilities can flourish in different settings.
Right.
And I think we need to provide those diverse pathways for students
Yeah.
to discover their strengths and passions,
Absolutely.
recognizing that success isn't one-dimensional.
It's not just about, the grades,
Exactly.
but we can't talk about the realities of teaching without acknowledging the parent factor.
Fair factor, right?
Right. Parent-teacher relationships can be incredibly complex,
Oh, they can be so tricky.
ranging from incredibly supportive to quite challenging.
It's a delicate ecosystem.
It is.
One teacher shared an example of a principal being yelled at by a parent,
Oh, gosh.
which I'm sure resonates with anyone who's dealt with, difficult stakeholders.
I've been there.
The emotional toll I think those interactions take on teachers can be significant.
It's huge.
It's easy to forget that teachers are people too. And dealing with those kinds of situations can be stressful and draining.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
important to acknowledge that.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to remember that most parents genuinely care
Right. Yeah.
about their children's education.
Yeah.
And they want to collaborate with teachers.
Right.
It's about finding ways to build those positive relationships
Yeah.
and navigate those challenging situations with grace and professionalism.
And that brings us back to the minister's point about the challenges of shifting public perception.
Yeah.
He emphasized that although Singapore is actively trying to move away from this academics first mentality,
Mm-hmm.
it's a slow process.
It's not just about changing policies.
Right.
It's about changing mindsets.
Yeah.
And he highlighted the need for, I think, a more holistic view of education,
Right.
one that values a wider range of skills and recognizes that success takes many forms.
He also touched upon the idea that shrinking enrollment
Right.
doesn't necessarily translate to smaller classes across the board.
Yeah.
Maintaining a variety of programs and extracurriculars
Right.
means that resources have to be allocated strategically.
Right. And this connects back to the potential of technology.
Okay.
If AI can help teachers streamline tasks and free up their time,
Yeah.
it could also create opportunities to offer more specialized programs or provide individualized support to students.
It's almost like technology could help personalize education
Yeah.
in a way that hasn't been possible before.
That's an intriguing thought.
It is.
And it raises the question, I think, of how do we prepare teachers for this evolving landscape? How do we equip them with the skills and the resources they need to really leverage technology effectively?
Yeah, it really makes you think about the future of teaching and what it means to support educators in this rapidly changing world.
Yeah, it's a crucial question.
Yeah.
We often talk about investing in education, but what does that truly mean? This roundtable discussion really highlighted, I think, that supporting teachers goes beyond just providing resources.
It's about understanding the complexities of their role.
Yeah.
Recognizing the unseen emotional labor involved and valuing the diverse skills they bring to the table.
Exactly. And perhaps it's also about challenging our own assumptions about what success looks like.
Yeah.
If we're asking teachers to move beyond an academics-first approach,
Right.
we need to be willing to do the same.
So what can we as individuals do to better support teachers?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it starts with recognizing the value they bring to our communities
Right.
and advocating for policies that prioritize their well-being
Right.
and professional development.
Yeah.
But I think it goes deeper than that.
What do you mean?
I think it's about fostering a culture of respect and appreciation for the teaching profession.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that teachers are not just dispensers of information, but they're cultivators of young minds.
Yeah.
And that their work has a ripple effect on society as a whole.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Their impact goes far beyond the classroom.
Absolutely. So next time you interact with a teacher, whether it's your own child's teacher or a friend who's in the profession,
Right.
just take a moment to acknowledge the complexity of their role.
Yeah.
Ask them about the challenges they face, the rewards they experience, and how you can support their efforts.
It's a reminder that we all have a part to play in shaping the future of education.
This deep dive into the experiences of teachers in Singapore has given us, I think, a lot to consider.
It really has.
The challenges are real, but so are the rewards. And ultimately, I think the dedication and passion of these educators really shines through.
It's inspiring to see, and it leaves me with a sense of hope.
Yeah.
That if we work together, we can create an education system that truly supports both teachers and students.